सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम।
सबको रिझाता चल, सबसे निभाता चल, सबको रिझाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम नाम का अलख जगाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल।
राम सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम।
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Mind tends to be attached. Whatever the situation, it tends to get involved in it, attached in it. It is like a super glue. It goes and sticks to everything. This is its nature. It will stick to things good, it will stick to things bad, it will stick to things convenient. But that's what it does. It just likes to go and stick itself to something. It can't sort of be by itself. To make the human mind capable, which it never becomes, but to make the human being capable, we also have an intellect. It is the role of the intellect to make sure that the stickiness of the mind is not an interruption in your path. The stickiness is the nature of the mind. There's nothing anyone can do about it. In the seat of meditation, you get stuck to Om. The stickiness is the nature of the mind. There's nothing anyone can do about it. But you do have a defense mechanism called your intellect. However, the intellect in most people is not developed. Not only is it not developed, there is no program anywhere to develop it. as far as I know, maybe there are some things somewhere I don't know, but as far as I know, Vedanta is the only systematic program in this world to develop an intellect. As far as I know, I haven't come across anything in the last 40 odd years that I have been associated with this path. So it's the only one. Now, having come to Vedanta and not developing your intellect must be the biggest tragedy of them all. Because for 99% of people on the globe, they don't know such a thing exists. They don't know intellect exists, they don't know Vedanta exists. Okay, now the very, very small percentage know that it exists. An even smaller percentage are regular in its study. But if we don't develop it, if we don't make a conscious attempt at its development, then that's sad indeed. Now, when you go into the world, everybody understands that, oh, you're getting attached. The stickiness of the mind is clear. But if you're not bothering to develop your intellect, the stickiness in the spiritual path doesn't seem to be clear to anyone. We will get stuck into things. Everything the mind goes and gets stuck. And the immunity which your intellect is supposed to give you is never there. If you like logic, you go and stick yourself to logic. Then when you meet an emotional person, you will still offload logic on it. But this person is emotional. Why are you talking this language? No, I believe in logic. Okay, then go fight. Main kya karu? So that stickiness is in all things: physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual. But the worst of them is the spiritual. Why is it the worst of them?
Because the medicine itself became the cause of your illness.
Very good. That's a very nice poetic way of putting it. But yes, you're right. Medicine itself, but a more logical response can you give? Why is it the worst? You're right. I mean, what you're saying is correct. You've given a good upama. Now give me anumana.
You are in a much peaceful position in that state and you are complacent with that.
Why?
Because you enjoy that. It gives a lot of peace of mind.
So why can you not recognize?
We are happy.
Because
Sorry, I didn't catch
No.
it. Right?
somebody say, no,
Mamita finished. She said because you're happy. What are you saying?
okay, I wanted to say it because spiritual path is a methodical scientific process, and that is very difficult to follow unless you have the treatment of a special course.
Yes, but the question now is that when there is the stickiness of the mind to the spiritual path,
Yeah.
why is it the worst form of stickiness?
Because
Mhm.
I have forgotten the goal. First of all, that was the goal. That's why I took the path. So I think one, and second, it's very happy and doesn't want to. And basically, I don't want it. I think that's all.
Because
That's why we stick.
now you think you're doing the right thing. If you are getting attached to something in the world and you come to spirituality and they say, oh, you're getting attached to objects of the world, you say, yeah, I'm getting attached, I understand. When you come to spirituality and you get attached, you don't seem to get that you're getting attached here. You're thinking you're doing the right. That is why people fall into a pit when they come into religiosity or spirituality. Uh, anything in the spiritual region seems to be okay. I mean, from the worst, like there are some people who believe that if I do kill all these horrible non-believers, I will go to heaven. Right? They believe so. Now, what do you do with these people? They read a book that tells them love everybody, and they come to the conclusion that if I kill everybody, I go to heaven. Now, for us, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. What we don't get is when we do it ourselves. When do we do it ourselves? When we become prescriptive to others. We say, oh, you are not doing this. You are not following spirituality because you're not doing it. Meaning, I'm of course all right. Today, my husband and I had a little tete-a-tete, let us say, a little quarrel. I told him that, we have, ours is a Parsi household. Parsi household, the furniture is coming down through generations. Everything here is older than I am. It's so old, everything. I mean, of course, Parsis tend to keep all their things beautifully. So for those who have come here, you've seen that, none of it looks old. It looks good. I think so. I don't know if I'm attached, but it's all, everything is 100 years old here. And still it looks reasonably okay, I would say. However, in our bedrooms, there are the cupboards. Of course, those are the old wooden cupboards and all, those are superb. But there are also the old Godrej cupboards. You remember Godrej cupboards, steel cupboards? Those are also now 100 years old. So I told my husband, I think it is now time you change these things. You can't, it's difficult to clean because that Godrej cupboard is so, I don't know, it was the original one. Like 100 years ago. It is so heavy in Diwali time when you want to move that cupboard. We have to get 4 or 5 people to move the cupboard. So it's a bit of a pain. So I told him, let us now, I think it's time we change these cupboards. To which he's telling me, don't think of the lower, have a higher goal in life. So I said, I see. So you think I don't have a higher goal? Is this lower for me to think about? And then we had nicely, as all husbands and wives do, I'm sure you also have at home, think of the higher. All he's trying to do is avoid having to struggle, right? Doing all this stuff, and he's not interested in taking up the struggle. So this is an example of when we can, don't tell him I told you this, okay? You all go quickly to him and say something. Like, we can become prescriptive to others. We can tell them, oh, you should not do this. You should not do that. And that's what we do. He was, of course, only just trying to get me off his back for the moment. But the thing is, we can get into this very easily. I am so good. I am doing this. You are not as good as me because you're not good. And the moment that thought comes to us, we have to know that
We become attached to the path.
we're becoming attached. Because if you were really a Vedantin, what would you think? You would think, I'm in the right heights. This is the way it is. Everything is going on normally. Isn't it? Isn't that what you would think? You've understood that something has to be in a certain way, and it is being in that way. That's fine. It's right. Suppose I go to my husband with an expense of 2 lakhs, and then he tells me, that's fantastic. Please, let's just do this. I will wonder, is he not well? What happened over here? without argument, without getting away, without any agreed to this, what happened here. So this is correct, right? This is how it should be. Should be means not as a prescription, but that's just the way it is. Now I will start eating his head up, and then maybe in 6 months we will have new cupboards. This is the way it is to be. That's a given. And the moment you get that this is the way it is, I tell the staff, as all ladies do something in a particular way. And particular that vegetables are first washed and then cut. Because we all know, right? If you wash vegetables after they are cut, the vitamins which are water soluble will go away. So you must first wash it, then you must cut it. Now, this piece of information I have. Does my staff have that piece of information? Even if I tell it to them, do they even care? Now I need for this to happen, that it's washed and then cut. A new maid comes to my house. What is my expectation? What should be my expectation?
To take her through the steps.
Right, but what's my expectation?
And she doesn't know that she'll do it wrong.
Yes, and
Listen my words.
what will happen? I must anticipate that it will take at least 15 days by the time she starts doing this. Because she's going in a particular direction. She's used to a particular thing, whatever. Now she has to change her behavior to something that she sees no value in. I will assume at least 15 days for that transition. So for 15 days, I know, what do I have to do?
You have to do, she will follow you.
Okay, that is very good. But I have to at least be standing in the kitchen at that time when she's washing. Because when she sees me, she will know this madam mera sir khayegi. So I must do it this way. So I have to at least be physically present. If I'm not physically present, it ain't happening. If I say, no, I'm too busy, I cannot go into the kitchen at this time, well, then make your 15 days 20 days. So when you're expecting change, you have to give a certain time frame. You cannot expect to tell somebody something और कल से वो करने लगे. ऐसे होता तो teachers would have no job in this world. अब 40 साल से बोले जा रहे हैं कि वेदा इंटेलेक्ट इम्पोर्टेंट है. क्या हुआ? कुछ नहीं हुआ. So takes time for the change to take place. As you do this, as you understand what are the ground realities of your life as you are living it now, what you are very slowly doing is
Developing the intellect.
very good. Is developing the intellect. Instead of doing this, we fall in love with certain ideas and start becoming prescriptive to yourself and to others. So the kind of attachment that comes about in the spiritual path becomes incomprehensible for the person. It is a very tragic thing. You see people who've been on the path for a substantial period of time, they're always wanting to talk. Even when you see new people who come to class who've been doing for many years, they always want to talk. Why do they want to talk? I'm not saying they shouldn't talk. But the thing is, that stickiness of the mind to those ideas. The old ideas, it's so stuck, it has to express the way. You see the difference between new students to the class and old students to the class. And the primary difference between them is how long does it take them to come to their question? Have you ever realized that? Every one of us, when we were new, how long it took us to say, what is your question? As you are with the class for some time, the question becomes smaller and smaller. And the funniest in that really has to be Ramana Maharishi. I don't know if you all have ever read any of, people have written about his question answer sessions and all of that. So one man will ask a question. That question is going on for 3 pages. And Ramana Maharishi's answer, yes. Finished. It's funny when you read it like, what? The next question, something insane. This is karma. Finished. 3 pages. I'm not joking. You go look at his question answer. 3 pages that question is going on for. His answer is 2 words. And you say he's so quiet. He's so quiet means he's communicated. He's told you what else he's supposed to say. So as the intellect grows, all these characteristics come about. You can say things briefly. And along with it, you can say things
Appropriate to the
Clearly.
situation.
in an explanatory manner. Correct, appropriate. Both. You know how to be brief, you know how to explain. Otherwise, if you say only brief, then everybody will go out. See, you are not being brief. You have to know what to say to whom, when, how, all of it. And what are you expecting, having said whatever you have said? So, attachment. What is the point we are on? So far, we've done only 1 point. What is the 1 point we have done?
Stickiness of the mind.
I can hear you.
Stickiness of the mind, no, to the spiritual path.
Very good. See, very good. At least one person has been listening to me. It always thrills me when someone's actually listening. People always ask me how many people come to the class. That is very important for them. I feel if one person listens, I don't care how many come, but one at least listens. So, kuch to fayda ho. So, the stickiness of the mind is a given. The stickiness of the mind in the world, we recognize. The stickiness of the mind in the spiritual path becomes very difficult to recognize. A good example of that is also somebody like Yudhishthira. He's an extremely good person. But he made a mess of the situation because he cannot recognize when that goodness should be manifest goodness and when that goodness should be internal good. So he's good, I'm going about doing good things. So bhugat lo, main kya karu? So it's very difficult at every level of the personality. Physical, emotional, intellectual. Those who get involved in service, they just want to do service. People are taking you for granted. You're doing more service than you need to do. Ye kuch nahi man mein aata. It is service. You have to know, right? You have to have your boundaries. You have to have everything in position. I'm doing service. Mad or what? Then those who get involved in emotions. Those who get involved in devotion and emotions and all of this, the other person is getting irritated with you being emotional. But no, I will be emotional. Why? Because I'm emotional. So, bhugat lo. Same thing at the intellectual. The stickiness of the mind in the spiritual paths is a terrible, terrible phenomenon. So that's why the Ishavasya Upanishad has given us, and this whole section on use and abuse of religion, a huge section is on how we find this impediment of attachment in the spiritual. Okay, all this so far so good. Is there any question? Check. All right, social. Okay, Momita. How to briefly explain to people who do not wish to change? How to briefly explain to people who do not wish to change? By briefly explaining to yourself that they do not wish to change. If they don't want to change, what is the use of giving a man a gardening tool when he doesn't want to garden? He will throw your tool away. You say, no, but this is a very expensive tool. He'll still throw it away. It is the most rare tool. He'll still throw it away because he doesn't want to garden. So if you don't want to, if they don't want to change, you have two options. You change or leave. You got two options. You say, oh, I will leave, Baba. Who wants to put up with this nonsense? But the fact of life is, wherever you go, somebody will have something you don't want. Now you will, how many times will you change? So you have to be really, so the question for us when we want to change is the worst here something I can put up with? The worst here. And if I go there, is the worst there something I can put up with? Because we are too busy seeing all the nice things where the grass is green. So in 9 out of 10 times in life, we can't change others. We have to make some modifications in ourselves, which usually means modify the way we deal with the other person.
Right, but that is what I'm not able to figure out. Like, how do I put it? Because some people are immune to, the logic that I feel is obvious, and then somebody else can handle those people well. But okay, I'll give an example. Like, there's an elderly person who's rude to the help. So I'm politely telling them that, it's not okay. It hurts their feelings. They leave and all that. And then this youngster comes in and says, if she complains about you can go to jail. So then that seems to work on that person. So, I mean, I feel like how it seems like what this young person did was pretty smart.
Correct.
But yeah, but there are many such instances in long-term relationships. Like, we can see that they're doing something wrong, which is hurtful to themselves and to those who wish them well. Then how do we?
You have to do exactly what this youngster did. You cannot, where you cannot use logic, you use emotion. What are the emotions available to you? Danda, Bheda, the whole lot, right? So the last one is fear. And after that is punishment. So first you use persuasion, then so the whole list of this whole thing. Use reasoning. Reasoning means persuasion. Use consequences, fear, punishment. These are all the emotional. These are some of the emotional ways. Carrots. Carrots means you say you will get this if you do this. So you have to figure out now with this elderly person, you figured out that, so you learn two important things in this instance. A, that logic doesn't work with this person in these types of cases. Number two, fear does. So now for the next time, you know this, you have this information.
Right. Okay, so similarly with other people also, we can figure out what works with that particular person.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bhargavi, you had something?
Yeah, I got my answer, Janaki ji.
So shall we continue? Omkar? Who will read?
I will read. Bhargavi.
Yes, go ahead.
You must overcome these main obstacles in your spiritual path. Get over your attachment by gaining objectivity in life. You gain objectivity by strengthening your intellect through daily study of Vedantic knowledge. Reflect upon the truths therein. Use the knowledge to maintain objectivity in your material as well as spiritual life. You would then rise above all attachment and involvement. Remember, you take to the spiritual course for your evolvement, not your involvement. Never lose sight of the goal of the enlightenment through your life. Here he says we should overcome all the obstacles in the spiritual path by gaining intellect and living the attachment and involvement. It is through by study of Vedantic knowledge and reflecting upon the truth. And knowledge should be used to maintain the objectivity in material as well as in the spiritual life. And we should rise above all attachment and involvement to take the spiritual evolvement, not involving, not losing sight of the goal, that is enlightenment in the life.
Very. Now, can you say this briefly? You've covered all the points, but can you put them briefly?
Yeah, the main objective of life is enlightenment. It should be gained through developing intellect by objectivity, overcoming attachment and involvement
In the spiritual path.
in the spiritual path.
Very good.
Thank you.
So how do you stay uninvolved? You understand the facts. When you understand the facts of life, that is your only hope to stay uninvolved. For instance, the most simple, most fundamental fact is things change. Right? Now, when you marry a person, what are you looking for in that person? Everybody's focus is on what all do I want in the person I wish to marry. I'm not saying it's wrong. You just have to put this idea in juxtaposition to another idea, which is the most fundamental idea, that world equals
Change.
You all know this, right? And you hunted and hunted and hunted for a person who, according to you, has to have these characteristics. Who told you that these characteristics are going to last? One man, old gentleman, very old gentleman, he said his theory. Okay, he's now, poor fellow, he has passed away many, many years ago. But somebody reported about him. He said कि बीवी में एक ही चीज होनी चाहिए. She has to look beautiful. क्योंकि बाकी सब चीजें हम लोग डाल सकते हैं. But we can't do anything about her looks afterwards. I thought that was very cute of him. Some thinking he has put that, okay, chalo, I can teach her how to speak, how to behave, how to act, how to cook. But if she's not good looking, I can't teach her to be good looking. So that's very interesting. As a concept, it's very interesting. When you see how the other person looks, the first thing you have to know about life is that
will also change.
That is the first thing to change. Isn't it? You may manage your emotions longer, you manage your views longer, but how your body looks, it is definitely going to change in the next 10, 20 years. But your marriage is for
50, 60 years.
Lifelong.
Unless you're planning to have a marriage of 20 years, the body has to change. In fact, most women, the body changes, at least in India, pretty dramatically after marriage. In the first year or two also, there is some dramatic change you see over here. So, whatever your theory is, I'm looking for X or I'm looking for Y. There are some women who say no, or parents who say, I want him to have a very good job and he should be well placed. In today's world, what is your job security? You can get married and next day lose your job. So what are you talking about? So if you want to not be attached, the first thing you need to know is
That whatever I'm attached to will change.
okay, that's one of them. That's an example. But if you want to not be attached, what you need to know is
Detached from lower.
Temporary.
Detached.
Nothing is permanent.
no, that's just an example. If you don't want to, we just did the paragraph. Bhargavi, you yourself told us what you have to do if you don't want to be attached.
Develop the
Develop the
intellect.
intellect.
To do that, you have to know
That
goal.
no attachment and involvement.
that is the effect. But what do you have to know?
You all.
You are attached.
Gain
You
more
are attached.
who you
You should know
objectivity.
actually
that you
are.
are attached.
Facts of life.
Sheetal, what are you saying? I can't hear you.
Objectivity. Objectivity.
Reflect upon truths of life.
You have to know the facts.
With
Don't know the facts. What are you going to reflect on and what are you going to do and what are you going to think? Yes, correct. All those who got to the facts. That's what we just did, right? We get attached. If you don't want to get attached, you must know the facts. And one example of the fact, because the most fundamental, most basic is that you're getting married, you are fixing what Prakash's iPhone, compatibility and understanding each other. Will that really last, your compatibility? Are you sure it's going to last? What have you made that compatibility on? I like Shah Rukh Khan, she likes Shah Rukh Khan, so we will get married. Are, is it going to last? So what are you're saying compatibility between what factors? So if we don't want to get attached, we must first figure out some basic facts. And once you've figured those facts out, now you can match what you want and the facts and try to figure if there is some way of handling the situation. But if you don't know the facts, you cannot handle the situation because what are you handling? You don't have the facts. Momita. Prakash's iPhone, free exchange of views. Prakash, are you not married? Free exchange of views is the worst thing that can be in a marriage. Free exchange of views will become free exchange of a boxing match here. So you have to be a little not free in exchanging your views if you want your marriage to work. Be a little controlled in exchanging your views. Momita. One guy said, मैं मेहनत मुशाकत करके
मेहनत मुशक्कत
करके मेरी बीवी को एंटी एजिंग प्रोसीजर्स करवाऊंगा. Okay. पर पहले यू हैव एस्टैब्लिश कि वो करने के लिए तैयार है क्या? That you must establish before you have this in your mind. इसको पकड़ के ले जाएंगे क्या? These are many women who say, I don't want to dye my hair. There are women who say that. They like white hair. There are some young boys I've noticed nowadays. In the parlor, they were telling me that, ma'am, आप color नहीं करते when I went to cut my hair. Color नहीं करते. I said, नहीं भाई, मुझे नहीं करना color वाला. So then she said, हाँ आजकल तो वही फैशन है ना. आजकल the youngsters अपना बाल सफेद कर रहे हैं. So okay, I didn't realize I was so fashionable, but apparently I am. So now suppose this lady doesn't want to go and have her hair dyed. That man can have all the money in the world, and he may want a wife with black hair, but nahi milne wala. So you must have your facts in position, what you want in position, and then figure it out between these two things. This is called application of the intellect. To do that, you need to develop an intellect. Intellect ही नहीं है तो क्या करेंगे? How are you going to do this? So your primary duty over here is to develop the intellect. To develop the intellect, you need to
Know the
Vedantic
facts of life.
studies.
what? Say Bhargavi.
Vedantic studies.
Okay. To develop the intellect, you need to
Know the facts of life.
oh, we've gone past that. Facts of life.
Morning studies.
Morning studies.
Morning studies.
Finally,
Reflect upon the truth.
you have to get up in the morning and study. How many people are doing that? Some people aren't getting up in the morning and studying. They are memorizing. Some people tell me I get up early morning and I go for a walk. Hey Bhagwan, do you expect your intellect to develop because you have taken a walk? Then all the, what are those kadvadiyas? Kadvadiyas? What are they called? Kavadiyas. Kavadiyas? No? You know, they carry water and they go in North India. Or here also they go.
Kavadiye.
Kavadiye, the Kavadiye. Or here they have the Avari, where they walk to the places of pilgrimage. They should be the most brilliant people. They walk so much. Are they so brilliant? Is kartavya a tool for developing the intellect? Yes, doing your kartavya, doing your duty is a tool for developing your intellect. The only problem in that is identifying your duty is also part of the intellect. So mostly people do condition things thinking it is their duty. So then that sort of subverts the process. So doing duty is right. That is the most important thing a human being can do. But now who's to identify this is my duty? So to be able to do all this, you need an intellect. To get an intellect, you have to study in them. Study in the morning means think in the morning. You're getting up in the morning to think on some facts of life. Not memorize them, but think about them. Think about them in context, in situations, so that it start making sense. Do you all know what is the tagline of Vedanta Wisdom Trust? We came up with a tagline. We all had big meetings and all. And we came up with a tagline. We should have a tagline. I mean, we found a tagline eventually, or we made one. I don't think anyone knows we have a tagline. Do you know the tagline and do you know what it is? Do you know this?
Buddhi yogi
Yeah.
vimuktah.
No, that is our motto. Now we have many things. There is vision statement, there is mission statement, there is motto, there is tagline. Life is complicated nowadays. One thing is just not good enough. Yes. Yes, Omkar, you're right. I'm glad at least our marketing people know what our tagline is. You know what our tagline is? Where it all makes sense. Isn't good tagline?
Very good.
Nobody knows it, but that is what we came up with as our tagline. Now for us in the class, at least it should all make sense. Itna to ho jaye, whether it makes sense to anybody outside or not. At least after attending class and studying Vedanta, this world should start making sense to us. But that will only come if we, Sardev, if we,
Know the facts of life.
Sadev, that will only come if we
reflect on what we studied.
Ready? I'm saying Sadev, you people are all answering. If we better put your only people who put their videos on pay any attention. So I'm glad that the count of people putting on their videos has gone up. Okay, Surinder. Very good. Surinder.
morning and think
Very good. When you get
and
up
study
in
as
the
well.
morning and think about these ideas, think about them, reflect upon them, cogitate about them, see how they're making sense. How is it fitting into the whole picture? And if we can get that much happening, then it really becomes a place where it all makes sense. You have no objection to what is going on because what is going on is making sense to you. You understand what is happening. And therefore, if it's something that you need to solve, you know how to solve it. Because you understand why it's happening in the first place. There is so much research. You know, I'm writing that book on relationships. So since I'm writing a book, I thought, let me do some research and see what everybody else is saying about it. I'm amazed at the amount of research material there is on it. Literally amazed. And fantastic. So many facts and figures, and it's fantastic. Only one thing is missing in that research. You know what it is? Anyone making sense of those research findings. For instance, all this is there, okay? 69% of divorces are initiated by women. Do you know this? 69% of divorces are initiated by women. 50% of divorces in America, the divorce rate is 50% and it has been steadily falling. And you know why it has been steadily falling? Because
No marriages.
marriage rate has fallen. We take all these various things and put together what is the problem in a relationship and what are you supposed to do with it. But none of that final thing is there anywhere. Only all sorts of things. All sorts of things. You know, divorce rate in India is how much?
2%.
1%, yes. Divorce rate in India is 1%. Divorces in urban areas are rising, in India, are rising at the rate of 30 to 40%. And in the rural areas too, not at this rate, but it's rising. Now, what are you going to make of all these facts? To make something of facts, you need
Reflection.
You need an intellect, correct? You need to think. How is all this fitting together? How is it all working? The ancient sages have, thankfully, already done this for us. Now what we need to do is only match the data and the result and see how it fits. They've already done it for us. Without this data, they've done it for us. That's the amazing thing. Now we just have to see how the data fits into this. It becomes quite simple. If you do not wish to get attached, you need
Objectivity.
Objective.
You need an intellect. If you need an intellect, your intellect will only work on the facts of life. So to collect the facts and to put them all together, only your intellect will do this because you will choose the wrong facts also or put them in the wrong position. You need an intellect. For an intellect, you need to study and reflect upon the facts that Vedanta has already and thankfully laid down for us. Due to wrong and impractical expectations. Yeah, basically it's out of attachment. You're getting attached to something, you are getting stuck onto something you shouldn't get stuck to. It's that simple. Life becomes quite simple once you figure all this thing. So is this thing clear? This paragraph is clear? You overcome these obstacles in your spiritual life by gaining objectivity. You gain objectivity by developing the intellect. You develop the intellect by
Morning studies.
Morning study.
one more word you have to say.
Reflection,
Reflect.
studies and reflection.
Okay, one more word is required.
Paths of
Regular morning studies.
Better.
Daily morning
Think.
studies.
Yes, regular once a year is regular. What is regular? Daily morning studies. Every single day. Don't call yourself a Vedanta student if every single day you are not getting up and studying. First thing in the morning, study. No, I can't get up at 4 o'clock. Okay, forget it. Don't get up at 4 o'clock. Whenever you get up, you study first. Itna to kar lo. And hopefully one day we will go backwards. But first thing in the morning, when you get up, you have to spend that time on reflection. So I don't have time. Then get up 10 minutes earlier than you normally do and spend 15 minutes reflecting. So where did those 5 minutes come? When you stop wasting time, those 5 minutes will be there. You notice how much time is wasted. Stop it, and then you get additional 5 minutes. Right? So that's what he's saying. I'm just explaining what this thing is saying. I don't know why I'm explaining it. It's quite clear. So daily study.
जानकी जी, जल्दी उठने के लिए जल्दी सोना पड़ेगा. That is also important.
Yes, but now we can't tell people too much. I'm not even saying get up early. I'm saying whenever you get up, you study. If you get up at 12 o'clock, whatever time you get up, you study. I think people in this class won't be getting up at 12 o'clock, but at least 10:15 must be the latest anybody who attends this class gets up. But whatever time you get up, first you study. Then you do whatever in the world you do. That is a step one. That every bit, that is the, what should I say, non-negotiable step if you're on this path. It's not negotiable. वो तो करना ही करना है. Don't tell me afterwards, oh, I studied Vedanta for 20 years. कुछ नहीं हुआ. Because you know something? One day you will feel like that. I've been studying Vedanta for 20 years and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened because I did nothing. Just because I attended the class doesn't mean anything will happen. I have to have put in that work. I have to have prioritized it. I have to have said that, this is the most important thing I do in my life. Everything else is something I have to do. You have to have money to live. You have to eat. You have to have a bath. These are things I have to do. But my Vedanta studies is the thing that I choose to do. If I don't eat, I will face the consequences of not eating. So I'm forced to eat. But when I don't study, I don't realize that the consequences I'm facing are because I'm not studying. So it never forces me to study. It's quite sad. So therefore, daily morning study, first thing when you wake up, is a non-negotiable. If this is your priority. If this is not your priority, then of course, then it's not counted. Now, how will you rise above? Then with that knowledge which you have gained, you will be objective, both in your material and spiritual life. Why will that happen? Because it will always remind you of
The goal of self-realization.
Yes. Always remind you of the goal of self-realization. That's how it keeps you on your path, both materially as well as spiritually. If you remember this, in your material world, you'll do well because you will not get attached, and you will do well in your spiritual life because again you will not get attached. Okay? Now, who will read the next paragraph?
I can read.
Please.
The spiritual courses are undertaken to unfold the divinity within you. They pertain to the terrestrial realm. They can reach you only to the point of terrestrial perfection, but cannot take you directly to the transcendental reality. The reality lies beyond the terrestrial realm. Hence, you will have to ultimately go beyond all terrestrial effort and cross over to the transcendental, a phenomenon strikingly similar to an athletic event known as the pole vault. In this event, the pole vaulter uses a pole to gain the height required to cross over a bar set for the purpose. The athlete runs with the pole, pegs one end of it on the ground, heaves himself up with the other end to the height of the bar, discards the pole, and rolls over to the other side. No pole vaulter can jump that height without a pole. Equally so, no pole vaulter can jump that height with that pole. If he clings onto the pole after reaching the height, he will dislodge the bar. Only by discarding the pole at that height can he cross over to the other side. So this shows us the limitation of the spiritual courses, that it will take us only to the um, uh, point of terrestrial perfection. But after that, we have to leave the spiritual courses. This is to reinforce the point that we must not get attached to the spiritual courses.
Yeah.
And this is demonstrated by the pole vault example.
Very good. Except that you can't say the limitation of the path. To say that's the purpose. Its purpose is to do that. It can't do anymore. So you can say limitation, but normally for sacred things, you don't call it a limitation. That is what it's meant to do. It was only meant to take us to terrestrial perfection. It was never meant to take us beyond that. So if you figured this much out, then why would you be attached to it? It's like when you put soap on your body, you're making an addition, right? When having a bath, you can't say, well, the child will do that. He'll put soap on his body, then he'll come running. You told me to put soap, I put soap and came. The assumption when you say to the child, put soap, is put soap and remove it. Then only you have a clean body. So similarly, you put on the spiritual parts and remove the spiritual parts, and then only you are the pure self. So if you've got this, then why are you getting attached? You say, oh, I'm so attached to the soap. I've just put the soap and I'm sitting over there. What is wrong with you? Unless the soap goes away, you are not yet clean. No, but my soap is so fragrant. No, I love this smell. It's so soft. So many nice bubbles. All that is true, but unless the soap leaves your body, you're still not clean. So that's the purpose of the spiritual path.
Ma'am, I have one question. Hari Om.
Yeah.
The question is, see, the pole water, I understand that. Obviously, he has to leave that. So, going beyond the terrestrial, see, in the if suppose a person studies well, he'll be calm, he'll be objective, he'll be goal-oriented, he'll achieve, he'll be happy. Now, is that moving past the terrestrial? Because he's applied that, right? He has applied all reflections and he's getting success in the world. So, is that moving past terrestrial, or how can you define transcendental? Jumping the pole water uses, he leaves that. And what is that transcendental? How can you define that, or that cannot be defined?
Of course not. It's beyond the intellect. How can something beyond the like be defined.
Okay.
But if you want to say what is its practical correlation, the three spiritual courses lead to meditation. Okay, which means single pointed thought. In the last stage, you have to leave even single pointed thought and plunge into the silence. In the silence, the self reveals itself. If you are looking for the correlation, that's what it is.
Okay. It's that way. Yes. Okay. Understood. So it's not terrestrial success.
Possible.
So transcendental success means achieving self, that meditation and leaving that thought also.
That's
okay. Thank you.
Yes, Komal.
Hari Om Janki ji. First of all, sorry I came and being irregular. I know it. The two things are coming to mind. Just I know very basic question only. Ki, this studying Vedanta isn't it is a spiritual practice. Is it a spiritual practice? Studying Vedanta?
It is.
Yes, it is. And then how do you come to know that it is the time to go in silence and it is over? Like you said, ki, now there is something above that. So how do you come to know? Like, what are the signs of it? कैसे पता चलेगा कि अभी छोड़ना है और साइलेंस या हो जाएगा अपने आप?
हो जाएगा. You become silent self. There's no
Then no
asking.
questions don't arise much. Is that the sign? One of the sign? Don't feel like.
Signs you have universal affection.
But still, if you feel like listening, still you feel like going to classes. So is that, no, it is not done yet?
Actually, it's never like that. You don't ever, it's like a child asking, how will I know when I'm an adult? So shall I stop playing with my games? Will I be not interested in my games? There's no point in all of this.
Yeah, it's
You have to just keep doing a sadhana. And
last line, please. Last line, sadhana.
You have to just keep doing our sadhana, and it will unfold in its own way, in its own time. Rama Rama Japte Japte Biti Re Umariya. Raghukula Nandan kab aayenge Hilmi ki davariya. Just wait. Do it and wait.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for this time. We'll continue next time. There's any